Hey guys, Jessica Beck here with IELTS Energy TV, and we are going to talk about my favorite thing, books. You can see that I'm wearing a shirt that says read on it because every summer my son and I do the summer reading program at the library, and we finish it and we get shirts. Anyway, we're always at the library, and you should be too if you are preparing for IELTS. Okay, so there was a comment on a YouTube video asking me to describe my favorite book. And so first I'm going to give you some vocabulary to describe books today. And then in the next video, I'll give you a sample part 2 answer describing my favorite book. I thought I'd go through a bunch of different vocabulary first because the vocabulary you draw from my answer may not necessarily apply to your answer. So let's get into some vocab first. Okay, there's a lot today, guys. So as you watch, pause whenever you feel like it, take notes, and remember, as always, I will type out everything you need below the video. Okay, so I am glancing down a lot of my notes today because I thought of so many great high-scoring words for you guys to use about books. And remember, even though this came from a question about a part 2 description card, actually, guys, you could be asked about books anywhere on the speaking exam. Like in part 1, it could be, do you enjoy reading? In part 3, it could be, do adults in your country have a good habit of reading in their spare time? Most likely the answer is no, but hopefully it's yes. Okay, so vocab, to describe the book itself. If it's really good, right, then you read it quickly. You say it's a real page turner. Good idiom, a real page turner. Now, if it's a scary book, like I love horror novels by Stephen King, you could describe it as spine-tingling. It's like that scary sensation you get on your spine. Spine-tingling. If it's very exciting or intense, you could describe it as gripping, right? Like it grabs your attention, okay? Gripping. Also, if it's like a sad book, maybe it makes you feel a lot of emotions, especially on the sort of sad side of things, you could use the adjective poignant. I love that word. That is such a band 9 word, guys. Poignant. Now, if it's super sad and it actually makes you cry, I do cry at novels sometimes, you could use the idiom tear-jerker. Now, guys, as a side note, you can use all this vocab for any stories, like movies and TV as well. So this is great vocab today, guys. You should also describe what kind of genre the book is. Now, book genres are pretty much the same as movie genres, right? Like horror, sci-fi, romance, crime fiction. On that note, there's a nonfiction kind of genre called true crime. I got super into true crime novels when I was in high school, and I read the book Helter Skelter about the Manson family. It's super dark, but it's about the 1960s. Anyway, true crime novels. It's a whole separate genre. Other nonfiction stuff like biographies or memoirs. So biographies are books written about another person, right, by an author. A memoir is when the person writes their own life story in a book. Also very interesting. When you're describing what kind of world it's in, use the phrase, it's set in, like we could say it's set in the dystopian future. I read a lot of sci-fi, guys, so a dystopian future is like a world after an apocalypse with like zombies and, you know, there's a lot of dead people and problems. So dystopian future. The Hunger Games, that's set in a dystopian future. Otherwise, maybe you're reading like a romance from, you know, the early 19th century in England. You could say it's set in the idyllic British countryside. So idyllic, that's a fantastic adjective. If there's a surprise change in the story that you didn't see coming, you describe this as a twist in the story, a big change you don't see coming. You could say that a book or a series of books spawned or inspired a movie or a movie franchise like The Hunger Games, let's see, yeah, so The Hunger Games, Lord of the Rings. Why couldn't I think of that for a second? Okay, another way you could put yourself in this description, you could say, I see myself in the character of blah, blah, blah. Like one of my favorite books is The Gunslinger. I might describe that in the next video. I could say, I see myself in the character of Roland because he is always trying to believe in what's good and somehow he still remains cynical and negative about the present. That's the truth, guys. Okay. Also, if it's a book you have read often, you could say it's like an old friend. There are some books I read over and over, like The Gunslinger. It's like an old friend. I could literally just open the book to any page and start reading, and I know what's happening because I know it so well. Okay, two last vocab words here. Both start with a T. One is, instead of saying a story, say a tale. That's just more interesting and higher scoring. If it's a really big book, I'm reading Infinite Jest right now, which is huge. It's like thousands of pages. Describe it as a tome. A tome is a huge, huge, long book. Okay, so there's a bunch of vocab today, guys. Please practice using this vocab in your own answers about books. And guys, if you're not doing it already, start reading. Okay, guys, if you want all the strategies for every part of the IELTS exam, check out our course, The 3 Keys IELTS Success System. Go to allearsenglish.com/KEYS. And guys, it is guaranteed to raise your IELTS scores. So go check it out, allearsenglish.com/KEYS. All right, guys, that's it for today's vocab video. I'll see you next time with a sample part 2 answer.